Hello, fans. Chaz Kangas from Go 95.3's First Impressions here, and joining me on the most felicitous of occasions is a rapper. If you've been in the streets of the Twin Cities, you're very familiar with his work. He has a benefit show coming up, very, very wonderful cause on the 16th. He has his album A New Age, one of the finest releases of 2017. My guest at this time, Christopher Michael Jensen. Chris, how you doing?
Hello, how are you doing? Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here. So, Christopher Michael Jensen. It's a rap name. Where'd it come from?
It's like Obi Trice's real name, no gimmicks.
His real name is actually No Gimmicks, G-N-O space. No, that's complete balderdash and filth.
I don't know, I felt like when I was, because I've been rapping since I was like 13, and after a couple of years, I was like, I just felt like if I just used my full real name, like there would be no one else. Like if you type that in on Google, like it would just be me. And I feel like a lot of people weren't using their full name, like middle included. So I was like, there's going to be no confusion who it is. Like if I'm doing promo or something, like it's just Christopher Michael Jensen. So that was, yeah.
So prior to deciding on that, though, did you have any rap names that you started out with?
I did. It was a name, and whenever I explain this to people, like it doesn't make any sense because it was just like a stupid thing I came up with when I was like 13. It was like Pent, which didn't mean anything really. Like the story behind it, it was just like something really random I came up with. Like we were on like a boat, and I think we were listening to B96, the old modern hip hop station in the Twin Cities. This is like when it first came out. And I think they were playing the song Forgot About Dre. And I think he had the line Ben Low Key. And for some reason I thought he said Pen Low Key. And then I put a T on it. Like I said, it doesn't make any sense, the story. But that was what that name was. And I used that for like a year or two until I was like 15. And I was like, I'm just going to call myself Christopher Michael Jensen. So.
Do you find now you still have elements of that? As in, do you have any pent-up aggression?
Well, see, I think that's what people thought it was supposed to be, but that was not what it meant at all. It was just like, yeah, exactly. But it was just a very stupid name that like a 13-year-old Christopher Michael Jensen came up with. So.
At an age when you had no boats, no snowmobiles, and no skis. Yeah, all right. So you dropped A New Age last year, your first project in 3 years. And looking back on it 1 year later, like what were you, A New Age is a really ballsy, bold title. So how do you feel like that really summed up the project?
For me, it was because I was, like when I was writing it, like my 30th birthday was approaching. Like when I put it out, I was 30. Like I finished it right after my 30th birthday. And so it was kind of like, for me, it was like literally like a new age for my life, like things going on in my life. And like, I'd been rapping for a long time, and just kind of the way hip-hop was kind of like a new age with hip-hop and where I kind of fit in with that. And then it was also with like all the stuff politically going on with like Trump, it was like kind of like a new age for the world, like, and just kind of looking at that, and a lot of the album touches on that kind of stuff. So I just kind of felt like it kind of summed up like a lot of different things going on with like the project and with me and the world. So that's why I called it A New Age.
So with a title like that, and also the fact that you rap, with, as mentioned, just all entirely you with your name, do you think there's been any like misconceptions of it, or anything that's been particularly interesting with different takeaways people have had from your creations?
I think, well, like I said, like with the name, like I said, I try to, a lot of my like music's like really personal, and just like with the, like I said, there's not like a persona per se, so it's just kind of like, I don't know, I feel like it's a kind of a good continuation of like what I am doing like in real life, and just kind of like trying to get that out on record, and just with things I do around town. Like if people see me on Facebook or they see me like on a flyer, like, you know what I mean? Like they know it's me. And like I said, I kind of like, just because so much of my life is just like involved in the scene and doing things like, and so much of my like relationships are just involved with music people, I feel like it's just kind of like, I don't know, I kind of feel like I don't really like separate Christopher Michael Jensen, the hip hop artist, from Christopher Michael Jensen, the regular person, quote unquote. Like it's just because, like I said, like I'm really like interested in politics and follow that, so that goes in the music. I'm really interested in hip hop, so like I'll talk about things with the world of hip hop, and so that goes in the music, like my personal life, like that. So it's just kind of like what I talk about with people, what I post about online, like that's kind of one and the same with the music, I feel like. So hopefully that comes through.
Cool. Speaking of which, so occasionally when you've been posting online or in promos for the shows, you've been listed as CMJ at times. Has there ever been any confusion regarding you and what at one point was the College Music Journal, the festival?
It's funny with that too. I was thinking about that today. Like the whole reason, because it's funny because no one ever called me CMJ like prior to, like I said, I've been rapping since I was like 13, and like I didn't really get out into the scene until I graduated from college and like 2009. So like when I started kind of doing shows around, like after I graduated, I was like, all right, now I'm gonna really get out there and just kind of like I have nothing else to focus on now except for like that's gonna be like my main priority. And so like when I started getting out there, I don't know if it was just because my name was so long that people just abbreviated it, but like when I would like put up, I think the first time I put like a video up on YouTube, like a music video and like live performance clips and stuff, like at the time, this was like 2010, you couldn't, the titles couldn't be very long, like you couldn't put like Christopher Michael Jensen, then like a name of a song, and then like official music video. So I had to shorten it. So then I just put CMJ, like and I don't know if it was because people saw that and just assumed that that's what I was like trying to go by, but it just kind of became like a name that people would shorten it to, and I feel like a lot of times now, people call me that more than my full official name. But I always think about that too, is because like people say, oh, you should just call yourself CMJ all the time. And it's like, you know, if you just type in CMJ in Google, you get a lot of stuff that's not me. If you type in Christopher Michael Jensen, like ChristopherMichaelJensen.com, you know, pops up first. So I don't know. It is kind of annoying that there's like this other musical entity, the College Music Journal, and they have like, if you go on YouTube and type in CMJ a lot, it'll be like CMJ presents this music festival and all these. So that's why if you type in Christopher Michael Jensen, and sometimes with CMJ, like even if you're searching online, sometimes like I try to include both, like in descriptions and stuff, just so you could find everything. But I don't know. So it can be frustrating.
Well, technically, wouldn't all of your shows be CMJ Presents?
Yeah, exactly. Well, see that's the thing. I think one time, I don't remember what artist it was, but I bought a CD from somebody, and they were like, oh, CMJ, I hope to see you sometime on the CMJ Music Festival. Like, so I don't know. So if that ever happens, it'll be like the universal like implode.
Just do a show in New York in late October, and CMJ is back. Right. You know, yeah. Just do it 2:45 in the morning at SOBs.
I had that like on a line in a song a while. I don't even remember. It was I don't even remember what I rhymed it with, but I said CMJ, but not the College Music Journal. So I had to get at least one line about that in.
You have a line in another one of your songs saying, the only time you'll see Christopher Walken
is if you're into cinema watching.
What's your favorite Christopher Walken role?
Oh, favorite role? Dancing in the Fatboy Slim video. No, I don't know. I'm not even like this giant Christopher Walken. I mean, I like Christopher Walken, but I guess I've never really thought about like maybe his cameo in Geely.
I think we were all thinking that so I should have said second favorite.
It's funny with that line too. That was like the oldest line on my new album. I wrote that line in like, I think like 2008, I think I wrote that line, and I just never used it for anything. I think at the time I had an idea, like I was gonna make a song where like I had all these things about the word, like the name Christopher, and I was gonna have all these like celebrities. I was gonna have like a whole song about that, and then like tie it in with me. And so I think I had a couple punchlines about the name Christopher, and so I just never used them for a long, long time. Like at another one, it was like, I got more puns than Christopher Rios was a line that I saved up for a long time. And then I just never used it for that song, so then I just, like that song never was created. So then they just ended up with songs years and years later. But I do think that line has like the distinction of being the oldest line on the new album. It was like 9 years old, so.
Classic line. So, you got this show coming up February 16th. Tell me about the cause.
Hosted by Mr. Chaz Kangas.
Who is allegedly me, and actually me.
Legendary Chaz Kangas.
Aww. So, this benefit, how'd you get involved with the cause?
Well, for a long time, I've been really fortunate. Like over the years, we've thrown like me and a lot of people that are kind of like in my circle or people that I work with and know in like the scene. Like we've been fortunate to throw like a lot of different shows in like a handful of years. Actually, me and my friend, we threw a benefit for like suicide prevention, just because that was something that a lot of people around us were very affected by, like that issue. And we got like a really great response from it, like just like a really powerful experience that was, and we wanted to do more of that kind of stuff. And so like over the years, we just got more and more involved with like throwing benefits and just different kind of things to like raise awareness and raise money for like local organizations and stuff. So we've tried to kind of stay with that, and that's kind of always been something that was like important to me. Was like, over the years, I kind of feel like being in this scene and being like surrounded by like so many artists and like there's so many activists in the scene and so many like different like socially aware people in the scene, and I feel like there's this cool mix kind of locally of like I said, like kind of like social involvement with music, and just I don't know, there's sort of like an energy in the scene that if you can kind of harness that for certain events or certain causes, like it just is like this exponential I feel like attention or involvement that if you can kind of like galvanize everybody to come together for something. And I've kind of seen that with a lot of like benefits that, I've been involved with and other ones that I've attended. And so, we've tried to explore a lot of different causes over the years. And one of the ones that like has affected a lot of people around me was, eating disorders, which is something I don't necessarily feel like always gets the attention that it maybe should get, even though a lot of people I feel like suffer with that issue. For a long time, I wanted to organize around that, and so it kind of finally lined up where I could do that. And like I know a lot of people, like even some of the people involved with the show, that's something that's like kind of affected them as well. And people that when I was talking to about the show, like came up to me and said, we're happy that you're doing this. Like it's something that doesn't necessarily always, people don't necessarily talk about it enough. You don't always see people raising money for something like that. So, which makes me feel good that I feel like it's going to be, like I said, I think a lot of people, because it hits so close to home for them, it'll be cool to get everybody together. And it's kind of like I feel like the scene can kind of be like sort of like a healing thing for a lot of people. I feel like it's kind of like a refuge for a lot of people. Like I don't know, it's something I think, especially like this scene, like the Minneapolis Twin Cities scene, it's just like with a lot of the music that people grew up with, like I just know like a lot of people that have like, literally either like were on the verge of committing suicide, but they like threw on like an idea album, and like I've heard that story from people, like, which is like kind of like a really crazy, powerful thing when you hear something like that the music can affect people that deeply. Like a friend of mine that when she was going through eating disorder recovery and treatment, like, there's a Christoph Crane song that got her through it. You know what I mean? Like every day she would listen to. So just like you hear things like that, and then you kind of, I think sometimes when people look at like the music going on for them, it might not be as deep as that. But like when you really get into like a lot of people's lives in the scene, you realize like how much a lot of this stuff has like deeply affected people. So it's like I said, when you can get a lot of people in the same room around that with local music, even sometimes with the artists that have like 180 changed their lives, like, I don't know, it's just like a whole different vibe with that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping that, that the show can hopefully be that for people.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. Christopher Michael Jensen album A New Age is available now everywhere that music is found. Got the benefit coming up February 16th. More info on that can be found on his social medias at
ChristopherMichaelJensen.com, Twitter at Chris Mike Jensen, Facebook Christopher Michael Jensen, all on there.
For First Impressions and Go 95.3, I'm Chaz Kangas. I love you.